Soft power is a concept which was theorized in the 90s by Harvard's professor Joseph Nye. It is an indirect way to exert power that enables us to reach our objectives using the power of attraction. We talk about soft power in both daily life and international politics. In daily life, it can be exerted by a leader, such as a company chief or a headmaster. Often, employees aren't inspired by rules, but by the values of the company. In international politics, a country can reach its objectives because it is supported by other states, as they appreciate its values, they imitate its behavior, and strive for its prosperity and openness levels. Soft power is based on culture, both high and pop culture, values and political ideals, foreign policy. However, we need to take into consideration the context in order to guarantee its efficacy. We will be more appreciated in similar and not opposite cultural environments, and if there are well-disposed interpreters and receptors. In the 21st century, soft power changed its features. Thanks to the wide use of social networks, we witnessed a real revolution in the public diplomacy, which had to include digital diplomacy. In 2002, the US State Department founded the first e-diplomacy task force. The ones who can exploit different communication and information channels have a higher probability of gaining attractiveness and exerting soft power. Although it is difficult to measure soft power, as it isn't a quantifiable force, the Soft Power 30 report provides a detailed analysis which takes into consideration objective and subjective evaluation indexes in order to establish a ranking of the 30 most influent countries in the world. The most recent report is the 2018 one, where among the top 5 we find the UK, despite the Brexit, France, Germany, the US and Japan. Italy ranks 12th. China ranks 27th after an upward trend in the last years. If we take into account the top 10 of objective sub-indexes, it stands out that the US ranks first in culture, education and digital, yet it isn't part of the government sub-index. The US has stockpiled powerful and vast soft power resources over time. If we take into account figures, 126 out of the 500 biggest businesses in the world are American. It is the leading exporter of movies and TV programs, and it is also home to some of the largest tech companies in the world, including Amazon, Apple and Facebook, as well as numerous startups. According to the World University Rankings report, it holds the first place in the ranking based on the number of foreign students in universities. This is particularly important because, as the students come back home, they share their experiences, exchanges and cultural influences with local people, who in turn can influence other way of thinking, providing a good reputation for the hosting country. As regards culture, American culture embodies open, non-elitist and free values, which are not only conveyed through high culture, but also pop culture. In the 90s, people were attracted by American culture. The ones who drank Coke and wore blue jeans had an additional value that helped young people express their personal identity. This was crucial in the Cold War to destroy the USSR from the inside. American soft power benefits from values such as democracy and respect for human rights. Yet, it suffers from capital penalty policies and the absence of firearm control. Broader and forward-looking foreign policies, such as the Marshall Plan, contribute to generating soft power. On the other hand, restricting and traditionalist policies could harm soft power. Nevertheless, opinions on politics are temporary and fleeting, as it is the nature of politics. On the contrary, opinions on culture are more solid and long-lasting over time. What about soft power in the Trump era? We could say that the election of Donald Trump triggered the decline of American soft power. According to a survey conducted by Gallup in 124 countries, only 30% of the interviewees have a positive opinion of the US under the Trump administration. Instead of making America great again, the harsh America First rhetoric did the exact opposite. Digital diplomacy is probably what allowed Trump to win the election campaign. Twitter was one of the most effective means of communication used by Trump, and it is still now. His language is completely different from that of any other politician. He often repeats himself and concludes sentences with strong words that stick in the minds of listeners. He clearly expresses his personal beliefs and opinions on other international policy actors, leading to back-and-forth replies on Twitter and ignoring advice from his aides. In foreign policy, withdrawing the US from any multilateral deal that could hinder US sovereignty is in Trump's plans. The president promised to strike new deals himself, but no new deal has been reached so far. Among the cornerstone deals Trump withdrew the US from, we find the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the INF Treaty, the Paris Agreement. The consequences are dramatic not only as regards the subjects of the deals, but also as regards soft power, as the government could be considered untrustworthy on medium and long-term policies. Moreover, Donald Trump's approval rate dropped to 34% after the longest shutdown of American history, caused by the disagreement over the budget law for the US-Mexico border war. Although soft power still speaks American English, Chinese people are firmly determined to make the Chinese dream a reality. The expression soft power became part of the Chinese vocabulary in the 90s. The interest in this concept shows an evolution of the Chinese approach to foreign policy, although the discussion was only theoretical at first. In 2006, the Council of State founded a steering group to create and develop projects to increase the Chinese cultural influence abroad. Academic journals wrote more and more articles on the subject, passing from 82 articles in 2003 to 5,500 articles in 2013. As the expression soft power became part of the Chinese culture, it was adopted from English. Soft power was translated as Ruan Chuan Li, Ruan Li Liang, and Ruan She Li. In 2009, Liu Jie stated that Ruan Chuan Li is more appropriated for subjective and hegemonic US soft power, whereas Ruan Li Liang describes better the objective and balanced Chinese soft power. Not only did language knowledge and translation theories influence Chinese translators, but also the Chinese government that supports soft power and fears to establish a link between the decline of American power and the developing Chinese power. It is estimated that China invests 10,000 billions of dollars every year and is the country beside the US that exploits more its resources to develop soft power. Culture is the most exploited resource. Confucius Institutes play a pivotal role. Not only do they promote language and culture abroad, but also contribute to mitigating Taiwan's international influence, as they teach Peking's language. China is the third most popular destination among students. Nevertheless, Chinese universities don't stand out in rankings due to mnemonic teaching methods. Since 2013, China has been promoting the Belt and Road Initiative, which aims at building an infrastructural and trade network between East and West, promoting a winning soft power model. If we had to establish which country has a winning approach, it would certainly be the US. Although the government doesn't currently invest in soft power, the US enjoys a millennial tradition. China is still disadvantaged by its young soft power and mainly by the controversial issue of human rights and the central role of state institutions. Soft power is based only on state initiatives and culture. Domestic conditions don't boost a sharing of ideas, creativity, and free thinking. Chinese intellectuals discuss on how it is possible that a country that is an inspiration for its citizens and that deprives them of freedom and fundamental rights could be an inspiration for the rest of the world. A teaching of Deng Xiaoping is stuck in the minds of Chinese leaders, boosting the conservation of an international environment which doesn't pose a threat for the development of internal politics.